But anyway, let's go on and let's see. All right. The other topic I mentioned is the API bots. Let's see how deep I actually go and how wrong I am. So you can actually say that don't do that. No, it's not gonna work. But again, this is just me tossing ideas towards one of the topics, and at least I have a domain that I work on. It's just APIs and management related to that, not a general overall bot that gives you the questions for the answer, which is 42. So I'm not creating the universal solution for. But let's see a few items that I actually wrote down. And
therefore, practically, you want to have the discussion during the presentation, or actually?
Well, there's only 2 or 3 slides, so basically we can have afterwards. All right. Yeah. First of all, about the API management in general. Yeah. Well, the service that we are actually building now is accessible through apinf.io, and the team behind it is apinf.org, and it's open source completely. And now it's supporting REST API management, but we're about to get the MQTT support in there, so it's real-time APIs included. Having a MQTT broker somewhere, and then we have the REST APIs to actually manage the users in the MQTT broker and everything else. So it's pretty near there. And for example, HSL is one of the clients that we have been building it together with, and there are plenty of other customers now actually waiting for the feature to be there, because the real-time APIs are now really coming really strong. And the development is based on these ideas of developer and API manager journey. So the journey is the road when you actually know something about API management, and then you eventually might become customer to some of the API management solutions. You have something in mind?
Yeah, just because I couldn't help but see that someone was looking up what MQTT means.
All right.
You want to explain that? I give it a short.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, MQTT, we all know Internet of Things. Yes, this other big thing that will happen actually is happening already nowadays. I think it's about 20 billion connected devices by 2020. Probably a huge amount in not too many years. MQTT is similar to REST as it's an API, so it's how you communicate between 2 interfaces. But the main advantages of MQTT is that it's super lightweight, where REST actually has a lot of overhead and HTTP. You have a small package with encapsulation. Encapsulation is small, becomes a big package. MQTT stays very small and nimble, which allows it to go fast and real time, but also allows the devices to not consume too much energy as well. So you could have, whatever is in your shoe doesn't need a big battery because it's using MQTT as compared to REST application. I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm not a tech guy, so this is also me trying to translate tech into not tech. But it's something that a lot of it's getting a lot of traction and will enable a lot more applications in the short future. Super exciting. Check it out.
Yeah, and normally the difference to REST APIs is that MQTT enables you to push stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's constant stream, basically. Yeah.
Well, anyway, all right. So journey is based. So we actually think through the clients, which might be normally API managers, or then the API consumers as the developers. So we are building now or finalizing the developer journey now that we actually can identify the key elements of the journey that actually developers do, and then when we know the key points and turning points, then we can focus on those and how to make it most easy and most attractive for the developers as well as for the API managers. And the code for the platform is in GitHub, github.com/apinf/platform, and all the other components in separate repositories as well. But anyway, if you want to try it, the latest version is always in the apinf.io and it's free. Go ahead, poke it around, see what it is. And if you see some bugs or you want some kind of features, then go to GitHub and just put an issue. Anyway, API management, you probably know what it is. You have APIs and you want to have some kind of control who's going to access those APIs, and are there some limitations for the access? Do you want to have some kind of caching or not? And so on. So and normally it's a catalog as well for API. So you can actually, you have one point to actually list a lot of APIs from different providers, and you actually can have one user account to actually take multiple APIs into use. So it makes the developer's life easier, but it also makes the company's life easier if you can centralize the API management itself. And there's a lot of different benefits for having API management, but that's beside the point now. So that's basically enough for it. So what I would like to do is so there's a lot of tasks related to managing the APIs itself, and that's one point that I would like to automate somehow and make it easier for the API managers to operate. As it was mentioned, if they operate, for example, daily in Slack with a team, now they need to go to another window to operate on the API management itself. So instead, why couldn't we have a simple bot in Slack, for example, and then you could do operations through it and get information to the Slack and so on. The big question is, what are the features that actually would make most useful for the API manager and as well as perhaps for the API consumers themselves? So because the API Apinf bot could actually provide information for both of them, consumers and the managers as well. Probably there has to be some kind of web-based user interface as well for more complex tasks and so on. But eventually there would be a bot as well, which could be operated, for example, from Slack. And if you think the bot from the API consumers as for developer side, well, integration in the Slack, for example, for start, because it's easy to start with Slack. You could get some notifications about when there's changes in the APIs, perhaps, or if someone leaves some feedback in there, you could actually see it. So you can actually follow some of your APIs that you actually want. What you're using, you would get information about what's related information to it and whenever it changes, instead of going to the catalog and seeing what's going on there. And if there's some developers attaching new use cases, videos, or GitHub repositories or something related to an API, you could actually get the information straight away to yourself, to your private channel or general channel or something like that. And why not even to email if you like, but that's not Slack related anyway. Of course, you could actually get statistics and status of the APIs. You could even request what's the latency of this API at the moment, because I'm having doubts that it actually is slow. You can verify is it slow or not, or something like that. And possibly you could even push comments, feedback to the API itself, and it would go to the catalog directly. These are a few items that came to my mind, but I'm not heavy API user. I'm a hobby user, so I don't actually know what would be the actual use cases, most beneficial features that should be first implemented in a bot if someone decides to actually experiment this kind of concept or not. The other part is about the API owner. They probably want to have different operations with the bot. They probably want to modify information in an API. For example, change the title if they see that this is attractive. This is not attractive enough. Let's try a different title for the API in the catalog, something else, or the description might be slightly changed. It's missing a keyword, and we want to add it there. Just insert it via the bot, and that's it. Or remove API, or set it private or public, depending on what they actually want to do. again, get the notifications about alerts. For example, if one of the APIs or one of the calls methods in the API is getting slow, you would immediately get information that this is going to be a problem now, and it's going to cause problems to your API consumers. Do something now. So immediate information instead of going to the email where you occasionally go once a day or once a week or something like that. Some people do, but for example, I don't like the email anymore. I avoid it as much as possible, and I do my daily stuff with Twitter and whatever means that I have, instant messaging and everything else, and Slack. And in our company, we use the Rocket Chat, and pretty much similar to the Slack itself. But anyway, alerts, or if there's a new user, if someone takes your API into use, you could get information about it. Yeah, we have a new user here. Or someone leaves you feedback to the API itself, and then you could actually see what it is. Yeah, obviously you might want to get weekly feedback about the statistics, usage, or something else, or when even by requesting about statistics and status of the API. And perhaps in the UI level, you could define if this then that kind of operations. If this happens, then do that. And you would give a short name to those operations, and those you could control via the chatbot itself. Not creating the recipes in the chatbot, but actually controlling when these are on, off, and applied and everything else. So it's a combination of doing something in the web browser and then actually maintaining all the operations in the chatbot level. Perhaps, I don't know. That's basically that in a nutshell, that these two angles are probably the two that I would choose to go towards. But I don't know what could be the most beneficial feature